Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. People who are committed to healthy relationships will just naturally want to find reasons to have optimism in their engagements with other individuals. You know, when you talk with other people, as you get to know them, or if it's people that you've known for a long time, you look for ways that you can connect and ways you can encourage each other. One of the problems that we have when we are engaging with narcissistic individuals, though, is we find that not only do they not bring an optimism to the relationship, but they bring a certain element of negativity that inhibits relationship growth. And one of the ways that we can speak about that lack of growth is we can say that when you engage with narcissists, you may have a desire and even a sense that says we can do this. But over time, that desire begins to rot, it begins to decay, it begins to deteriorate. When a narcissist comes to the equation with you, they bring so many ingredients that are just naturally disinclined towards relational growth, but inclined towards relational decay. I mean, when one person says, well, why don't we make this relationship all about me? Which is part of the defining feature of narcissism. They're so caught up in who they are that they make no room for other individuals. And, well, in the meantime, why don't I just control you and talk with you about how you're supposed to be so that you can fit my mold? And they have this attitude of haughtiness, this unbending commitment to their own agenda at the expense of you. They don't have any particular empathy. When you have those kinds of elements that come along with narcissism, you're not going to have growth. Ultimately, you will have decay. Now, what I want to do today is I want to show you that in addition to the core ingredients that we watch for that tell us that narcissism is in place, there are 7 primary patterns or signs or signals that go along with that says this relationship is moving in the wrong direction, and I'm hoping that you can be the kind of person that reads the red flags and the implications that goes along with it. So let's get right into it, and let me identify those 7 signs that a relationship with a narcissist will decay, virtually guaranteed every time. Now, the first sign that I watch for, and this will come as a shocker to no one, is that there can be persistent public and private discrepancies. And by that I mean the narcissistic individual publicly can portray himself or herself as being charming and pleasant and agreeable and helpful, but then behind the scenes it's like a whole different person shows up. And the person behind the scenes sees that public image that the narcissist has as little more than posturing. I have had so many people talk with me about, let's say, a relative or a coworker or a friend. It's like, well, when they're out there and engaging with other individuals, it's like, I'm thinking, who is this person? Because behind the scenes, that individual has turned surly and difficult and contrarian. So the inconsistency between the public and the private self is a major sign that says this relationship is going in the wrong direction. A second sign that indicates decay is that over time, the narcissist, as they get to know you or continue to have interactions with you, will have a growing disinterest, which eventually becomes a deep sense of disregard. Now, earlier in a relationship with a narcissist, that person may actually say, I'd like to know you, I'm interested in you, but over time you realize, no, the only thing they're interested in is you giving them narcissistic supply. In other words, they want you to admire them. And over time, as you show that that's not goal number one for you, then it's like, well, it ought to be. And so they have less and less of an interest because you're not giving them what they want. But then that lessening of interest becomes a deep sense of contempt. How dare you be somebody that I don't want you to be? They show open disregard for you. And again, typically it's when few other people are watching, they just have this resentment that they're sitting on. A third sign that says that the relationship is going towards decay is that the relationship, as time passes, begins to focus more and more on pulling together power, having a sense of authority, or forcing correctness. Again, I can talk. I've talked to so many people who seem to be pliable and agreeable in the earlier stages of a relationship, only for you to find that as time goes on, they can be highly opinionated. They can have an inflated view of their own superiority. Their ideas matter, yours don't, and so they continue to push their opinions and their agenda and their authority on you, and they'll be very argumentative. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You shouldn't think this way, or where did you come up with an idea like that? And they want you to be a mini-me. They want you to think as they do, and when you don't, then the negative becomes more and more front and centered. Well, that leads directly into a fourth sign that we can watch for, and that is there can be an ongoing, pervasive devaluation of you. I wonder how many of you would think, there are times when I was on the receiving end of nice compliments or, wow, you were really helpful, and encouragement, only to find out later on that those compliments and that encouragement just turns into raw criticism. It's like, I can't say or do anything right. You would think that all I have to do is show up and something negative is going to happen. And there can be this disillusionment because over time with that narcissist, they have no problem at all reminding you how deficient you are. People don't know you like I do, so whatever good you bring, they'll say, yeah, but I know it's phony, and you know it's phony, everybody else doesn't. And you're over there thinking, what can I do to appease this person? The answer is nothing. A fifth sign that the relationship is going straight into decay is over time, and this is one of the most disillusioning of all, there is an emergence of a very dark side. As an example, I've heard so many people who will say that they were connected with someone who presented themselves as very virtuous. Here's what we stand for. We want to be good and we want to be right. But behind the scenes, that individual can say, well, as I watch them away from the public spotlight, I see so much hate. And I see so much meanness, and they're drawn towards themes of destruction. I'm amazed when I know of individuals who publicly they're really pleasant, but then behind the scenes, for example, their entertainment is all about destruction. They love watching people kill and blow things up and all of that. Or there's just this haughtiness or this disdain for people that are not the same as them, and they harbor all sorts of biases and prejudices against individuals simply because they're not the same. But a very dark side can start creeping in, and when that just doesn't abate, you're in trouble. The relationship is in trouble. Then that leads directly then to a sixth indicator or sign that the relationship is going towards decay, and that is morals then. And values become quite fluid depending on what the narcissist wants or needs in the moment. Again, you can see that this is a strong indicator that the narcissist is not committed to principles or standards, but they're dedicated to their own false self. They'll give the impression that they're okay, but behind the scenes, their sense of goodness is just fleeting at best. They may say, I believe in this, and then something comes along that competes with that. It's like, well, I can go with that. And so it's like, well, I thought you were this morally virtuous person. It's like, I am when I need to be, but when I'm not, I don't care. And then finally, a seventh sign that says the relationship is going in the wrong direction toward decay is that despite many discussions or many efforts to bring that person back around to a healthy standard, these individuals refuse to make healthy adjustments. In other words, they show very, very low levels of introspection or self-reflection or a willingness to go to the interior. Somehow, the problems that are in the relationship are always somebody else's fault. They're the victim. You're the person who's wrong. And you just need to adjust, not me. And so they have very little ability to take insight and awareness and make healthy kinds of adjustments based on that. So you look at these 7 patterns or signs that are in addition to all of the primary ingredients that we look at with respect to narcissism. And when a majority of these are in place, you can see the relationship is going to collapse. It's going to decay. And it tells us that narcissists overall, as you get to know them, are simply contrarians. They're not team players. They take their marching orders from no one else. It's like, I decide what's right and wrong, period, end of discussion. They have little curiosity about you beyond knowing what it is about you that they can use and exploit. They don't make heart connections. They want feel-good experiences, but they don't really have a deep concern for who you are on a personal level. And not only do they not have a lack of growth, but you'll also find that these are individuals that especially in moments of conflict, they regress to childish immaturity. So I'm hoping that as you can see what these signs and patterns are, you can still say, well, I still want to remain committed to that optimism. I still want to be the kind of person that tries to get to know other individuals. But unfortunately, it may not be this person that's in front of me. That narcissistic individual is so self-absorbed and controlling that they're unwilling to lay their own personal ego down long enough to have a sense of growth with you. Bottom line is, in order for relationships to flourish, they need nurturing. And narcissists bring so much rot, they bring so many predictable patterns that not only is there not the nurturing, but the ingredients are simply going to cause root rot, if we can put it in those kind of terms. So I'm hoping that as you see this, you can have this mindset that says, well, I'm determined to be someone who does promote growth and an ever increasing sense of nurturance in my relationships. And if that narcissist says, well, I'm committed to all these other ingredients, in your mind, you can think, yes, I see that. And that means I have to give my nurturance to soil that's going to be able to receive it, as opposed to playing along with something that I just can't agree with. And I hope that videos such as this can give you some good awareness about what you're dealing with. And you need to learn to read those red flags because so many people will say after the fact, yeah, the red flags were there, but I didn't pay enough attention to them. And that's why I keep the videos coming. If you've not already hit the subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. Gus and I are going to keep more coming your direction. I know that some of you could use some therapy. And as that is the need, that I would encourage you to seek the assistance that you would need through our link below to the people at betterhelp.com. And actually, if you do and you click there, you'll get a 10% discount. So that's a nice thing. But please, as the need is there, seek the therapy that you would need. I've had good feedback from the folks that have sought out betterhelp.com. They've been sponsoring me now for years. Likewise, I have my therapeutic courses, and these are very extensive. It's like signing up for an online class. Each course has multiple videos with written materials, guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making connection skills. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite those controllers. We also have my webinars that have been presented, but they're still available for purchase. And we have those. We have my Surviving Narcissism podcast and other resources. We have my books. So plenty of resources that'll help you. Narcissists will bring a certain rot to the relationship. They are masters of decay. I'm hoping you can be the kind of person that says, I'm committed to growth, and you can be masters of nurturance. Big difference between those two. And as you commit yourself to that and you remain steady in that kind of direction, then I know and I'm hoping on your behalf that it can position you to be a person of peace.